Hi, I'm Tom Morgan, Microsoft MVP. Microsoft Build 2020 is just around the corner. It's happening early next week. So this is going to be a very different Microsoft Build because it's going to be virtual only, online only, not an in-person event. That's good for lots of people though, because it means that all the content is going to be available for free in real time. It's going to be a really good experience. So registration is free and open. You can go now. I thought it'd be interesting just to think about the kinds of things that might get announced this year. So Build is Microsoft's premier developer conference. So the focus will be on development type things. Now, every year for the past few years, there's always been something, a fairly big section around Microsoft Azure. That makes a lot of sense. It's a key part of Microsoft strategy, and making tooling available for developers on Microsoft Azure is a really important part of that. I think we'll continue to see announcements for developers in the areas of big data and things like AI. Don't know what else. It'll be interesting to see. We're seeing more and more AI being used to solve real world problems rather than just kind of announcements of new technologies. So it's more like application of AI. So maybe we'll see more things like that. In the Microsoft 365 space, I don't know this year, so I care an awful lot about Microsoft Teams development. I think that's fairly obvious. Every year, it's normally that kind of stuff normally comes out at Ignite, and then development activities around Microsoft Teams are a part of what gets talked about at Ignite when Microsoft 365 is talked about at Ignite. If that makes sense, there isn't often a lot of Teams development focused stuff happening at Build. And this year, I don't know, maybe it'll be more of the same. I would like to see a big emphasis on Microsoft Teams this year for developers. I think there's loads of stuff that's happened, and Teams is a really big play for developers now in reaching users. It's becoming a platform for developers to build applications on, and I think that's a really good thing, and so I would like to see that promoted. The other thing I do think we'll see a lot talked about this year at Build is the Power Platform. Again, big focus, not really just on developers, but kind of low code, no code, business analysts, power users, but also, let's face it, developers who want to get stuff done faster and don't want to reinvent the wheel all the time. I do think it'll be interesting to see whether specific focus is given to the kind of challenges of home working and remote working. So whether we see that in improvements to and I'm kind of trying to think of this as a developer slant, because obviously there's things happening for workers, for people at home, for people using Microsoft Teams and using Microsoft 365 every day. But that's not really what Build is about. I do think maybe there'll be some stuff on security, so it would be interesting to see whether there are responses to all the challenges in security of people working from home on unsecured devices, on unsecured networks perhaps, and how you get visibility of that across your estate, how you develop applications that surface that information and respond to that information. I don't know. We'll have to see. The format for this year, by the way, it's spread over kind of 2, maybe 3 days, depending on your time zone. So Tuesday and Wednesday, and maybe a bit of Monday, and maybe a bit of Thursday. There's lots of repeats. So the intent is it's a 48-hour kind of window of stuff, but there's a lot of repeats within that. There's going to be keynotes by Satya, Scott Guthrie, Scott Hanselman's going to be there, doing the keynotes of their sessions. Then there's some other sessions as well, which, there's loads of sessions, as you might expect, and lots of repeats as well. So you should be able to find what it is you're looking for in your time zone, more or less. All that stuff is going to be recorded and you can watch it again. I think it's going to be good to do it live. I think they've made provision for things like Q&A and feedback and stuff like that. So do try and get it live if you can. If not, it is going to be, you're going to be able to watch it after the fact. Couple of sessions I thought were interesting. So there is an all-up overview of the Microsoft Teams development platform by Sonia Cuff. So that should be really good. If you're completely new to the Microsoft Teams development world, you should definitely go and watch and listen to that session with Sonia, because she'll do a great job of introing what it's like and all the capabilities. what I'm interested in, there's a session on the Teams architecture and how you build scalable Teams apps. That sounds quite interesting. Nick Kramer is going to be talking about building zero friction apps on Teams using single sign-on and graph. So that's a hotly requested feature. I think it's in preview at the moment. It's in developer preview at the moment. Lots of people asking for that. Nick Kramer is a goldmine of information when it comes to developing on Teams, the APIs, the integrations, the SSO stuff and the integration stuff. So that will be a really good session, I think. A really good level of detail there as well. I'm going to go and try and get to this session, another session on accelerating developers with the Microsoft Power Platform. I don't think developers should ignore the Power Platform because it's not real code. I think that is a mistake. I'm going to interested to see what Aaron Ulag and Charles Lamana say about all this stuff. I think a session about the Power Platform aimed at developers is a good idea. Let's put it like that. And finally, kind of just general interest, nothing to do with Teams and development. I'm going to go to a session on building apps using AI for a rapidly changing world with Amit Bari. That sounds quite interesting. It's something I like to keep on top of. That kind of everything that's happening in the other places that are not the focus of your day-to-day job, I think is what conferences are really good at doing, broadening your horizons a little bit. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm sure there's going to be some other sessions as well. I try and keep up with the sessions that get really good feedback and really highly rated, and then go and watch them on demand. That seems to be working quite well as a strategy for virtual conferences. But yeah, no, I think it's going to. So start from the top. I think it's really good that Microsoft are doing Build a Tool this year. I think they could have very easily cancelled it and not presented any content. I think it's really good that they are. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how it works as a virtual conference. I think it'd be good. The MVP Summit this year was a virtual conference. It went really, really well. So I have no doubt that they can make a success of it. So I think it'd be good to see. And I think it's really good that it's going to be equally available to everyone this year. All right, that's everything from me. I'm obviously going to be on Twitter talking about it as it happens. So I'm in the sessions. I'll be tweeting the content that I find interesting. But you can catch up on that. My Twitter handle is TOMORGAN, or you can go to thoughtstuff.co.uk and get all my videos and other blog posts as well there. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you have a good Microsoft Build 2020.